Welcome back to the Our 2 Cents podcast, the show where your local professionals sit down with an array of guests to hear their story and impart some wisdom for both business and life-improving skills. This is your place to hear business and community leaders discuss relevant topics that matter to you.
Andy, Ryan, thanks a lot for being on the show today. Welcome.
Glad to be here.
Thank you.
So I'll set the scene for our listeners a little bit. We're over at Seven Oaks Country Club, where you guys are getting ready for a wine release party tonight, tied to your foundation. So we might hear a little background noise as we're setting up here. Before we get into tonight's event and what you're doing today in town, I want to introduce our audience to you, Andy Amador. And so maybe we can start, and go back in time a little bit, and maybe you can talk a little bit about what brought you to this point. You're in the wine business. You're have a successful contracting firm that's been around for a long time, done a lot of business. So there's a lot of things to get into, but maybe you can kind of tell us what got you into the business of winemaking.
Well, when I was a kid, I grew up working in a slaughterhouse and butcher shop, and I started buying property. When I was 26, I bought 188 acres in the hills above Napa to hunt and fish on, which turned out to have 100 acres of plantable ground for Cabernet. And that's kind of how it started.
That sounds ideal. And nobody had planted that Cabernet yet?
No, it was
really?
all hay fields.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And how long ago was that?
96, 97.
96. And how was it that nobody had taking a look at this property? Were other people already looking at this property as developable for
the area,
wine grapes?
This particular area at the time, it wasn't real big. It was the hills above Napa. It's a base of Howell Mountain.
Okay.
At the time, it wasn't a real big grape growing area. Okay. There were a few scattered vineyards, but it wasn't what it is today, that's for sure.
And so you knew Cab would work there?
Well,
or you thought Cab would work there?
Well, no, actually, I was going to lease it out for cows.
Okay.
And I just wanted to hunt and fish.
Got it.
We had a great fishing pond, and the hunting was pretty good. The rancher I bought it from, I'm trying to actually move a trailer onto the property. I was going to live in the trailer and rent the house out so I could afford to eat. Turned out the farmer said to me, he said, "Hey, why don't you go after them grape people? They've been looking to get a contract going with me, and I'm too old for it." So I pursued that, and next thing you know, we're in phase 1 of 3 of putting vineyard in the ground.
And those 188 acres are still producing to this day, I'm sure.
We got 74 in the ground now, and
okay.
By this time next year, we'll have all 100 plus in the ground.
Well, and Cab has been the foundation, it seems, for your wines, right? So it all started there, it sounds like.
That's where it started. Did
you build on to that property, the adjacent acreage around, or are you still using that as...
No, just the same one.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yep. So it's kind of started out that way, and then in 98, Marissa and I planted a small vineyard at a house we had at the west side of Napa, and made that into wine with Mike Blom, and then MadoroM was born.
Okay.
And
what's the origin on the name MadoroM, your winery?
So Mike Blom, Marissa and I, and Sean Blom, we decided to put different things together, coming up with a name. And Mike came up with MadoroM, and my last name is Amador. You dropped A off of Amador. And Mike's Blom, dropped a B off of Blom, you put it together, it's MadoroM. And that's how it started.
Very nice. And so you guys have been doing this a lot of years now. There's obviously a Bakersfield connection because it's big here in Bakersfield. Your wine's big here in Bakersfield. You're pretty well known here in Bakersfield for a lot of years. And I think that's why you're having this wine release party here every year. What year are you in right now on this wine release party?
Man, I think we're at 19 or 20. Maybe 20. With COVID, it might be 19, but I know it's getting close to 20 years.
Ryan, maybe you can talk a little bit about the foundation that's tied to the wine release party, and what is that all about?
Sure. So, as Andy said, he's been coming here to Bakersfield to do the wine release party for much longer than the foundation has been around. And probably 10 years ago, 11 years ago, decided, well, he's already auctioning off these barrels of wine and raising money and giving it away to good local Bakersfield organizations. Let's put together a foundation that will continue annually to contribute to various local charities that are close, near and dear to Andy's heart. So I got involved maybe 2013, 2012, something like that. Our CPA firm had done a lot of work as far as advising the foundation on getting set up and ensuring that it was a nonprofit and all of that. And I'd come and help out with the auction at the events and ensuring that we collected all the proceeds and distributed them. And then myself and our business partner, Steve Starbuck, was instrumental in getting the foundation going, and we were good buddies. He invited me along, and I stuck with it, and I took over the treasurer position within the foundation and continue to come and help out every year.
Well, and that's why I think this is so important, Andy. So you have a real connection to Bakersfield. I'm gonna have to ask how that all started, but so you as long as I've known you, you have identified and realized who is important to your business, to your life, and then you have made sure that the proceeds of what you do somehow come back around to help those that have helped you. I know that about you. That's got to be a major part of your success, both in your business, your wine business, and in this foundation. But what was the Bakersfield connection? How did that all get started? Now, for 20 years, that this is probably one of the biggest areas that's one of your biggest fans in the wine business.
Well, I was a big fan of Justin Myers, and he started Silver Oak, and he was from Bakersfield. But I was collecting his large format bottles, and I'd get in line at 2 or 3 in the morning to get them. And again, I was 30, 31 years old, 32 years old. And my wife met a guy, and they start talking about different things. And I'm in line too, and he's about meat cutting and hunting. And she says, "You got to meet my husband." And so they introduced us, and he was from Bakersfield. So I made all this group of guys from Bakersfield that were there. I said, "Hey guys, why don't you come join us for lunch? My wife and I have the whole patio at Piatti's. Why don't you guys come out and join us?" And Marissa looking at me, she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "These are my type of people." And we went to this luncheon and with a group of Bakersfield guys, and it just was something else. We just clicked. And they said, "Hey, why don't you release your first vintage down in Bakersfield?" And I said, "That sounds great." We loaded up and headed to Bakersfield a few years later, and here we are.
And have been doing it ever since.
Ever since.
Yeah, well, I think it's great that the proceeds that is tied to your foundation end up coming back here to local charities. And I know you've continued to do business with a lot of people from Bakersfield, I guess, for the last 20 years, ever since you made that connection, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're a firm believer, and we support the people that support us. And that has been a huge deal here in Bakersfield, from my computers to my trucks to my wife's jewelry. They all come from Bakersfield.
Yeah.
I mean, it does. And that's the way it's been, and that's the way it'll keep going.
So if somebody wants to come up and visit your winery and do some tasting, do you guys have a tasting room open that they can see?
I'm glad you asked. That's pretty cool. We're closed to the public.
Yeah.
And not that we're snooty or anything. It's just, we have a group, but if you call my office and say you're from Bakersfield,
that's kind of a shoe-in?
It's a shoe-in. So it's worked out really well, and we're going to keep doing that.
Yeah, that's great. So what will we be tasting tonight at the event? What year is this, and what are you rolling out?
So we're releasing the 19 Cabin Merlot and the 2020 Camouflage wine. The Camouflage is the one that has the hunters on the back of the bottle.
Yeah.
That's the one we do the custom labeling
Well,
on.
let's talk a little bit about that, because, I mean, I know a lot of people on your bottles end up on the wine labels. How's that done? And if somebody wants to get a custom label, is there a trick to that, too? Is Bakersfield the password for that, too?
Just about. What they do is they send in pictures, and then we have a custom label program, and then we pick the best ones.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many labels from Bakersfield people we have done, but there's a bunch. And then we sit down and we pick out the best 4 or 5 for distribution. So that's turned into quite a competition amongst.
I think it has. I mean, I've seen. So for listeners who haven't seen it, it's a lot of hunting and fishing photos outdoors in the wild, doing good stuff, and then sending you the pictures, and then they end up on these bottles, and you'll do a custom run, right?
Yep.
But then I know you also end up hanging on to those and putting them on there permanently, right?
Yes.
Brian, I think you've been on a few of those.
I have. Let's talk a little bit about that camouflage label, because I think that is one of the most unique things. Obviously, the Cab and Merlot are the flagship wines in the group, but the camouflage is a red blend and has the camouflage label on the front, right? And then you also have a Sauvignon Blanc that has a similar camouflage label, but typically that white wine is saved for fish and trophy fish and what's been sent in, and the red is is big game animals predominantly, correct?
Yep.
So I caught a really nice yellowtail a handful of years ago and sent that just, hey, check out the fish that I caught, because I know Andy digs that kind of stuff. And, hey, do you mind if I throw this on a label? And that's how I ended up there. Really cool.
Now you're wine famous.
Something like that. I've drank a few bottles of them.
Yeah, that probably helps sales a little bit too, right?
Yeah, it does.
Especially when it's, friends of friends, and it's one of those things that you can kind of spread around a little bit. That's great.
And we've gotten calls from people in different states that go, hey, how did you get so-and-so on the bottle?
Yeah.
That's a buddy of mine.
Yeah.
Hey, just picking it up out of a restaurant or having it at somebody's house. So it's been a small world, connecting all the different people and whatnot on there.
Yeah, I'm sure you have a big following from the hunting, fishing community in general, right? Not just Bakersfield, not just your area in North California, Napa, but that spreads, I'm sure.
It has. It sure has. And then rosé. We have a rosé that has a pink camouflage label and always has a picture of a live cougar on the back of the bottle.
Yeah, that's a camouflage label as well, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it sure is.
Yeah, Ryan, maybe you can let us know about what we expect to earn for the foundation tonight, based on years past, and what your expectations are for this evening.
Well, I'm looking around this room, and we have seating for, I don't know, 300 or 400 people in here. So I'm expecting that we'll bring a lot of money into the foundation tonight. I think over the last, COVID slowed things down a bit, obviously, but we usually generate a net of, I don't know, better than $50,000-$60,000, and then split that up between 5 or 6 local charities here.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good. Andy, as long as I've known you, you've always had a really positive attitude. Maybe you can talk to us a little bit about that positive attitude and that how it relates to the success that you've had, both contracting business and winemaking and so forth. We all go through ups and downs, right? We all have tough times. I know you're the same as all of us, that you do have those times, but you'll never see it in you. You never see it in you when I talk to you, when I see at these things, when I see up at your place. How do you do that? Is that one of the secrets to some of your success?
I enjoy people, and I really enjoy like-minded people. And to me, that's the greatest thing in life is my family and my friends, and it's worked out real well.
Yeah, I can tell that. There's no doubt about that. I think anybody that's met you has known that right off the bat. This
event tonight is kind of open to the public, but I don't think there's a face in this room that you don't know. There's a connection to Andy Amador and the MadoroM Foundation, the MadoroM Winery, and everything that you've built over the last 20 years surrounding wine. But everybody in this room tonight has a direct connection somehow to you and the organization, correct?
Yes, and it's real nice. And it's real nice to get new faces involved. And over the past 5 years, we've had a lot of new faces come into the mix, and that's been real nice too.
Yeah,
real nice.
If we have somebody out there listening who's interested in getting into the wine industry, is there still 188 acres out there that's perfect for cab grapes somewhere that they can find, or is that ship sailed? And if it has sailed, or maybe if not, I don't know, what's your advice to somebody who's maybe young and trying to figure it out and wants to get into this business?
Well, I would probably start out, of course, try to start out as small as possible to keep all your bases covered, and just try to build it from there. There's a lot of big, deep pockets in this industry, and they'll gobble you up in a minute. So it takes a lot of dedication. Don't stop, and don't get discouraged, because you're going to get there sooner or later. Just keep with the best products you can, the best farming practices you can, and don't get snooty about it.
If you were just getting started with it and weren't an owner of the winery, but just trying to get into the business, would you recommend going to work for somebody else? Would you recommend trying to find that perfect piece of land? Or would you just go get in and try to learn the business first?
Well, kind of a little bit of both. I kind of got into it by accident.
Because you like drinking wine?
Yeah, that's true. But
well, maybe that's the secret.
Yeah.
Drink more wine.
It can be done.
Yeah.
It's just now it's just so big and there's so much competition in it. You're going to have your niche.
Yeah.
Camouflage has done well for us.
Yeah.
The Cab Merlot, of course, my flagship, but camouflage connects with a certain group of people.
Yeah.
So you just kind of find that connection and run with it.
Okay. And do you think that there's still opportunity in Napa? Do you think Paso is more the place to be these days? I see a lot of stuff going in, even in Santa Barbara County now. I mean, there always has been, but I mean, it's just blowing up there.
Tehachapi right here is growing, right?
We've got right here in Kern County. Area. We've got our own appellation now, right?
No kidding. I didn't know that.
Yeah, up in Tehachapi Mountains. Yeah.
Paso's got good grapes. Santa Barbara's got good Pinot grapes. Go with what grows best in that area.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't grow a Pinot because I don't own any property in Russian River.
Right.
And Russian River Valley is hard to beat.
Yeah. Do you have any plans of expansion beyond that acreage that you have?
No, I think I'm going to kind of stop about where we're at and maybe produce a little bit more camouflage. We have introduced our sparkling wine this year, and it's been a big success. We farm a lot of that out because we're not set up to make the sparkling, but it has turned out to be a really good thing. So it's kind of, we're still building on it.
Yeah.
We might throw another varietal in the mix.
You never know.
You never know.
Yeah. You usually have something working.
Something cooking.
Yeah. Good. Well, guys, I really appreciate you coming on. If somebody wants to find out more about the foundation, about this event, I mean, it's full now. So if you're not already on the list tonight, I don't think you're coming in tonight. But maybe for future years, what's the best way to reach out and find you guys?
Well, the best way is to connect with our office. Lynn runs our office. Call the office, and she'll get you all set up. Again, drop the Bakersfield connection, drop that name, and you're pretty much in.
That works.
So it works.
MadoroM.com, I think, is a website that you can go to check out the various wines that are available, order wine for overnight shipping, and Lynn takes care of all of that as well. Locally here for the foundation, Brown Armstrong CPA firm handles the books and the distribution, that sort of thing, of the funds that are raised from the event tonight. And I can get any information locally if anybody's interested in getting involved. Give a quick plug to a couple of the charities that have been longtime friends of Andy's and of the organization. Maybe talk about some of those organizations that have been benefactors over the years that you've had a direct connection to. I know there was an original one way back 20 years ago that you started giving, cared about and really got involved with. You want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, kind of started with a real good buddy of mine. His daughter passed away. And another good buddy of mine, the family started having some medical issues. And I made an 18-liter bottle, and we auctioned it off. And that's how it got started. I said, hey, I just made my first 18-liter bottle, and I'm going to sell it. And I'm going to do the proceeds to this charity. And that's kind of how it started. So we've been big supporters of anything in Kern County that has to do with military, women's pregnancy centers. We've been big into the hospitals. Like I said, everything that stays in Kern County and associated with Kern County people.
Yeah, absolutely. So Wounded Heroes Fund is one that has been very close to me. That's military veteran connected, and that's a fantastic organization. The Lawrence Small Children's Center over at Memorial Hospital has been a big one for us as well. As Andy mentioned, that first 18-liter, if you haven't seen an 18-liter bottle, it's about as tall as like a dining room chair, basically. It's an enormous bottle of wine.
Yeah, how many bottles are in an 18-liter? Do you happen to know?
2 cases.
2 cases of wine in one bottle.
Yeah. And we've drank them.
Yeah.
Well, and I know we'll have some of those on the auction block tonight, right? And then knowing you probably have a barrel of wine on the auction block.
We're going to
you've done that in the past, right?
Yeah, we're going to do a barrel of each one of my vintages on the Camo, the Merlot, and the Cab.
Yeah, great. Real good. That, along with a lot of probably trips and a lot of other auction items, you guys always really do a bang-up job. We get some great stuff. And
we have some local dinners. We have a dinner at the winery.
Okay.
And it's all MadoroM wines and stuff like that. So it all tied to MadoroM some way.
We've been lucky enough to enjoy a few of those.
Yeah.
And it's always good.
Luigi's has always been a big supporter.
Yeah,
in fact,
huge.
Don't they carry a label? Back of one of their labels has made by MadoroM, something like that?
We've done Luigi's house wine now for years.
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
Yeah, that's a great connection as well. Gentlemen, thanks a lot for coming on the show today. Look forward to the event tonight. And for any listeners interested, reach out to us and we'll give you more information. Check the show notes for all the details. Thank you.
Thank you.
This show has been brought to you by the Law Office of Kyle Jones, Troy Burton with the Lynn Company, CPA John Duffield, Scott Hanson Real Estate Lender, broker and investor, Dave Plivlich, President and CEO of the Marcom Group and MarcomBranding.com, and Amanda DiGiacomo, President of Atlas Financial Solutions. You've been listening to the Our 2 Cents podcast. Check out the show notes for links and more information about the show. Also visit our website at our2centspodcast.com or catch us on Instagram at Our 2 Cents Podcasts. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and share with others.